So, welcome to another episode of the Headed Home podcast. We are your hosts, Andrew and Jen Gallegos, hanging out today with our friend Jerad Larkin, who is an account executive at Chicago Title, the Mile High Title guy. Jerad, what's up?
Man, what a title. Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on the show, on the podcast. Appreciate it.
Well, I got to say, man, you're the very first title rep that we've had on the podcast. And
True.
we've been running this podcast for almost 4 years now. We've interviewed 20
Honored.
plus top producing agents in real estate. So, yeah, the first title rep. Congrats.
Well, thanks. Thanks
I
for
feel like
having
we
me
should
on. Appreciate it.
had like a medal or something for him, like a
Yeah.
one of those like plastic
trophy.
trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
belt,
right.
Maybe a title belt. Right?
Oh, I
Yeah,
like
right.
it.
There we go.
I
There
like
we
the
go.
Mile High Title guy, though. It has a nice ring to it. And
Thank you.
I remember seeing it because somehow we got connected on Facebook and Instagram over the past few years. And this is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on and talk to you, because you do a great job of building a social footprint and branding yourself. And even just like us connecting, like I don't know how we got connected, but by the time I was actually introduced to you from another real estate agent, I was like, oh yeah, like I know Jerad, but we had never actually met. So I think you do a great job of getting out there on social media and
Thanks.
tell us, how your background, tell us about your background and how you got into title for starters.
Yeah. Well, first of all, shout out to Leslie, who connected us
Leslie McRossi. Yep.
earlier this summer. She's amazing. So thanks, Leslie. Appreciate you. So background is always kind of been, guys, I nerd out on all this marketing stuff. I just love it, whether it's social media, really video. I mean, that's the core where I kind of fell in love with all this stuff, and it's just kind of snowballed. Is really early on, I was just kind of making videos for fun. I mean, I've been probably doing it now for close to like literally 20 years. Ever since when I was a little kid and had a little video camera. And that's led into social media, marketing, all that stuff. And then fast forward to before I got into title insurance sales back in 2017, I was actually, for many years, part-time, I was actually running just a small boutique marketing business where we were doing video marketing, social media, some advertising stuff. And I've kind of just always leveraged those skill sets to help kind of differentiate myself in the title insurance sales industry. And I've just always been a big believer. And I mean, Andrew, you kind of nailed it, right? Like it's weird though, right? Like you almost like have these like virtual relationships with these people that you may have never even met before. But as weird as it is, right? It's kind of the world we live in now here in 2023, where like you feel like you already know someone before you even, physically three-dimensionally meet them,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the quick story on the marketing front. But I'm a big believer in the power of social media and really just like being on as many channels as possible. I mean, whether whether you're in lending, title insurance, you're a real estate agent, right? If you're in sales or run a business or something, right? Like there might be value in being on social media, as well as all the other channels and ways of doing things. I'm not saying that social media is the end all be all. Like I've got plenty of clients that hate social media, and that's totally fine, and they're doing just fine. So I think, if it's a value though to certain people, like there's a lot of ways to leverage it.
Well, I think too, like with social media, I'm a big believer in it, but I also think you have to have a physical presence to back it up. And so you could be amazing at social media. You could have all of these connections. You can make as many videos as you'd like and all the content. But like, I feel like you do something a little bit different as you do a ton of social media, but then you're in the field a lot with events. And it seems like doing,
Sure.
face-to-face meetings and all of that. So talk a little bit about that. Like how important is that next piece of actually getting out there and backing up what you do on social media with the in-person stuff?
Okay. So anyone listening that doesn't know kind of what title insurance sales is. So kind of breaking it down like this is the way I explain it is I work for Chicago Title, right? Very reputable. I mean, we're one of the largest, oldest title insurance companies really out there in the nation. We have over 1,100 offices across the US. We're owned by Philly National Financial, Fortune 500 company. We got 15 different brands. But the point is when you really dial it down, right? Here in the state of Colorado, as well as other states, like the truth, in my opinion, is there's some great title insurance companies out there, and the title insurance business as a whole, I think, is very commoditized. We're very regulated. There's a lot of things we can't do. And when it comes down to it, like, in my opinion, like, pricing isn't that much of a gap between what you're going to spend on title insurance. And it really comes down to the relationship that you have with the title company. Beyond them obviously being, I think there are some great perks that Chicago Title has, but to the everyday end all user, right, whether it's the lender or the real estate agent, whoever, they may not be aware of this. And the truth is, my main role as a sales rep at Chicago Title is to go out and build these relationships with real estate agents, with lenders, with investors, with anyone who can direct business, right, to Chicago Title. And the truth is like, if Andrew and Jen, right, if you guys already have a great relationship with a title company, I mean, why should you even be talking to me? And I think, honestly, the answer is you shouldn't, unless I have a good enough value proposition, right, to get my foot in the door, to try to build this relationship with you and add value, as cheesy as that sounds, but it's true, to really form this partnership with you, to help you with your business however I can. And hopefully down the road, try to earn your title insurance sales business. I think there's crossovers in the lending industry as well as title insurance. I think in this day and age, doing your job right and providing that great experience is just an expectation. And really the truth is what else can you do to be of value to your real estate partners, your clients in general? So my main role, right, is 100% business development. I'm not the person who's going to sit in that closing room or do all the the process behind the scenes with the title and escrow process. Because the truth is we've got incredible escrow officers here at Chicago Title that are busy in the office doing that, and they don't have time to go out and find more business. So that's where I come in, and that's where I've really leaned into doing a lot of classes, a lot of events. I'm doing 5 to 7 a month right now. So honestly, I need to probably slow that down. It's a bit overkill, but it's been a great way to give back to the community as well as just meet some great people.
Yeah, and add value.
I think one thing that you mentioned that I think is so important and people don't necessarily understand the importance of it. And maybe, so Jerad, just to give you a little context, I do a lot of trainings and have in the past with school districts around like positive school culture and just building a positive culture with groups of people. And you mentioned just like connection. Whether that's connection on social media or like connections and building relationships through your classes. And I think what people sometimes don't understand is that is literally the most important thing that you can possibly do. And one thing that I've really observed a lot is if someone likes you as a human being and trusts you and finds you credible and finds you like authentic and all of these pieces, they're going to give you their business. And I think that you going out and building these relationships in the classes and building relationships on social media allows people to see you and determine whether they like you, determine whether they trust you, determine whether they find you credible. And because you are who you say you are. And I think that is really what people see. And that's why there's so many people that gravitate towards you. So I think I just think that's an important piece to point out, especially for like agents or lenders who are, really working on their business, is like, you have to understand that human connection is literally the most important thing that you can possibly do.
I totally agree. Absolutely. And right. And there's going to be those commonalities, right? I think, Jen, you mentioned it that day, we did a class a week ago, which, by the way, you did an incredible job, both of you. So thanks again for taking the time to do that class. But it's finding those commonalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got kids, I got kids. Oh, they're back in school. Cool. Mine just started school, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever. You like to travel, all those things. Mm-hmm. And I think as much as there's the business side, there's also the side where you're just a human being, and you got to humanize yourself, and people are going to either be drawn or pulled away from kind of who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
But I just kind of lean into who I am. I've always had the mindset of like, I am who I am. I've always been kind of unique, kind of weird individual, which is okay in my opinion. And right, like
But
some people are going to
so
be turned off, some people are going to be turned on. I'm okay with it.
yeah, and I talk about this a lot, but like, don't you find it so much easier to just be like who you are? I think that sometimes, you know, especially in business and this business, you'll see people and you're like, wait a second, like that doesn't match up with what, you know, but if you just like are just like generally who you are, I think it's so much easier to wander through the world that way.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a big thing is just kind of putting yourself out there, which is weird. And honestly, I think a lot of people struggle with it, myself included, right? And whether what you ever feel comfortable sharing with on social media or via
Yeah.
email or whatever, right? And kind of where you set that boundary line is interesting. But I've found
Mhm.
that like if you really kind of just you're a bit open on who you are, and people are going to connect and resonate with whether it's positive things or also maybe negative things going on in your life, right? They're going to resonate with that as well and may have some sort of correlation to it.
Yeah. Are you seeing with the the in-person classes that you do and the events like the one that we did last week, are you seeing more more people showing up with what's happening in the market right now? Interest rates are really high. I feel like it's a tough market for a lot of real estate agents and lenders and title reps. Everyone in the industry struggling to I want to say everyone is struggling, but it's different. It's a hard market. Are you
Sure.
seeing more people show up to those events because of that?
You know what? We're just finishing out August here, right? August 2023. And August was kind of, it's kind of always been kind of a weird month with attendance for classes and events. And
Yeah.
it's kind of hit or miss on what we're talking, but
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see. It's a good question, Andrew, but it'll be interesting to see what happens now that kind of we're entering into September and we're entering into kind of that later part of the year. And that's usually when those attendance records do pick up and all that.
Mm.
Um, but it really does vary from class to class
Yeah.
on who you get there. And I will say this though, without a doubt, like once September, October, November, December hit, those class attendances go way up
Really?
historically.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And because we'll have classes where it's anywhere from 5 to 10 people to, I mean, the bigger events that I do will have 200 to 300 people, which I'll be doing those again come kind of the fall season when
Mhm.
people seem to have more time to attend those events.
That's awesome. So you got in the industry in 2017. Did you have success right off the bat, or did it take you a while to get your feet under you and make a career out of being in title?
So the title insurance sales industry is a very high volume business. I kind of always say like, again, like this is subjective, but I don't know, maybe if you want to be somewhat, maybe you're doing good in real estate, right? If you're doing as a real estate agent, say maybe 2 to 4 deals a month, that's fantastic. And maybe, I don't know, in lending, maybe you want to double that, right? I kind of say like in the title insurance world, like I want to be closing over 100 deals a month plus, because that's just, I'm just trying to give a correlation to like how high volume it is. And where I'm kind of
Mhm.
leading in here with this is short answer to your question, Andrew, is I almost quit after 2 years. I literally was just like waiting to like get fired, honestly.
Really?
Because yeah, I got hired, ready to go, bright eyed, bushy tailed back in 2017. And shout out to Leanne Neubauer, who took a chance on me and hired me and believed in me all these years. But the truth is I didn't have a network. I didn't have anyone. I mean, maybe I knew one person in the real estate space. So I just was honestly just throwing stuff at the wall every day, just trying everything, and had to just kind of figure out what worked, what didn't work. And then just meeting a ton and a ton of people, right? They're like, I mean, I'm sure you've kind of experienced this. Yeah, I'm going to send you my next deal, and you're all
Yeah.
excited. And you're like, yeah. And then, that doesn't usually happen or come to fruition, which is okay.
Mhm.
Um, so it's a very much, it's this big snowball that you're trying to get rolling and rolling and rolling. And from what I've been told, from what I've kind of seen, as well as myself personally, is it really takes like those 2 years of just kind of grinding it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll be honest, I hit kind of that 18 to 24 month range where I was just exhausted. Even my wife, right? She's like, we get into love languages, but her love language is quality time. And she's like, you're gone like 5 nights a week. You're at all these networking events. You're doing all these things. You know, when you look at the time you're spending and the money that you're making, it just does not connect at all. Like, is this a viable, legitimate career? And yeah, I mean, I hit this point where I was just like tired. I was like, maybe I'll jump back over into marketing. And then I don't know what happened, but something happened kind of around within that 18 to 24 month mark where it started to pick up and snowball, and kind of all those relationships that I kept building and just, I don't know, pouring love into started to, some of them kind of turned into things. And that was good. And then obviously I'm still in it now, and it continues to grow and just honestly become more and more fun. I don't know. What about you guys? Like, when you jumped into that lending space, was it instant gratification? Was it building? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it was definitely building and grinding for a long period of time. It took me, 2 years, because I did a full year on the processing side and then jumped into the sales side after that. And it took me a full year to really feel like I could make a living out of this.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, it's literally all day, every day, prospecting, trying to create relationships, working as many hours as you physically could, just to try and make it. And it's a competitive industry in title. It's a competitive industry in real estate. Lending's the same way. When I got in, this was 13 years ago, but I was 28, and I think that was a little bit younger than the average loan officer. I think the average at that time was like 55 or something. So I was a younger guy.
Wow.
Yeah, no experience in finance or anything like that. So it was just, really just a lot of cold calling, a lot of grinding for sure, man. But there are those moments, and that's why I like to ask people that have become successful in a sales career about those initial times and what lessons they learned. Is there a specific situation for you where or I guess just in your career, I mean, what do you think the biggest lesson that you've learned is?
We kind of hit it earlier, but just don't care what people think and just try things. I mean, early on, right? It was also to my first sales role. I mean, before this, holy cow, had a completely different job. I mean, before I jumped into title insurance sales, I'm a big traveler. My wife and I spent a year backpacking through Europe and Asia. Before that, I was a property tax consultant. I used to live in a cubicle, which is a whole other conversation. But I'll tell you what, it was not the right fit for me. And honestly, that was kind of the motivation too. Honestly, being in this sales role where I'm like, yeah, okay, well that didn't work, and that kind of sucked getting that rejection. But at least I'm not doing that job anymore, so it's okay, right? And it was just trying things. There's a lot of ways to go out and drum up business, whether it's cold calling. I mean, I used to do the Popeyes. There used to be the sales rep that swore by them, and used to go to Costco and make my baskets, and I hated it. And hey, shout out to those that it works for them, but it wasn't the best fit for me. I feel so uncomfortable showing up unexpected to these real estate offices, and I feel like I'm disrupting people while they're trying to work. Hey, how's it going? All that. And then finally something clicked. Go ahead.
No, well, that's what I was saying. I think the older generation, they did that. And I think it's changed so much over the past 10 to 12 years with social media that you almost have to step outside of that mold and step outside of what you're being told by your mentors and kind of start to do your own thing to get some success. But I remember the Popeyes too. That was uncomfortable for sure.
That's the other thing too, is the reputation. I feel like it's shifting, but I mean, for the longest time, I feel like, especially maybe with the older real estate agents that are used to it, right? Like, in my opinion, like the reputation of your typical title insurance salesperson, unfortunately, isn't the most positive thing, right? And I just mean like the reputation was, hey, let me take you to the game. And I love taking people to games and going golfing with them and doing all those fun things too. But, some agents, right, when time is so valuable for them and they're at this high performing level, like I don't want you to talk to another, potential person that I don't need to do that. Right. Like I need to focus on my business. I've got my people. Right. So for me, trying to break in and kind of brand myself more in the marketing space, and try to find ways to legitimately help them with their business, I kind of had to, kind of redirect kind of their brain on kind of what my role is, and kind of, rebrand myself over in this niche over here.
How did you get over this idea of like not worrying or caring about what people think about you when you're trying stuff and just being so, because I do think we talk about this a lot, like, because you do, especially when you have your own business and you're, having to find a business, you have to be so out there, and that's incredibly uncomfortable for a lot of people. So I'm just interested because you do a great job at it, but how did you get over that? I mean, and I know it never goes away on some level, but
Totally.
like,
Yeah.
what was like kind of a breakthrough for you with that?
It's a really good question. True, it never goes away, right? There's still always some discomfort when doing certain things that kind of push you. Um, Part of it, I guess, was like I kind of had the mindset of what do I have to lose? I mean, right? Okay, cool. They don't like me. Like, I guess if every single real estate agent decides that they don't like me, fine. I guess I'll go do something in marketing, right?
Yeah.
Which is what I'm passionate about, and I'll grow that way. So I guess I always thought like, hey, I'll just go all in on this, and if it doesn't work out, I'll go into the marketing space and do something within that field. Um, and also to that old job, like I was like, shit, I don't want to go back to living in that cubicle. Like that sucked. Like I had the most corporate job, most corporate company, like you name it. That was like the world that I lived in. And I'm like, well, so I would always think about it. I'm like, well, at least I'm not doing that. Like,
Yeah.
that sucked. I'm not going back to doing that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I love like my role as in business development is so many ways connected to kind of my personality and what I love doing. Right? Is yes, it's coffees and it's lunches and some happy hours and classes and events and a lot of fun, right? So if I can just lean into that and find enough people that connect in the way that I can help them, then that's the goal. And yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable and it's right. It's this for this. Let's
Yeah.
go for this and see what happens.
And but I do think too, when you go through enough and you get told no enough and you mess up and fail and do all these things and put yourself out there so many times, and then like you don't die from it, like there's a level of, I mean, there is a level of confidence and stuff
Yes.
saying like, hey, like, okay, like if this just like sucks, like I'm gonna actually go to bed tonight and be just fine and like go home to my kids, and like
Yeah.
my life actually isn't going to be that different. And so you
Yeah.
do find like a confidence in that, I feel like.
Yeah. And I think confidence for us and for me, especially at the beginning of my career, was the adding value part, where it was like, okay, if I'm
Yeah.
reaching out to this real estate agent or if I'm cold calling this buyer, whatever, if my mindset is all around what can I do to provide value to you, it takes away any sort of reluctance for me. So I'll come back to that a
Yeah.
lot. And I think just with like, and I've watched some of your YouTube videos and seen some of the stuff that you post on social media, and obviously what you're doing with the events. I mean, you really do bring value, and for
Thank you.
any sales professional, or we have a lot of real estate agents that we're connected to on social media. Go check out Jerad's YouTube, check out his Instagram, check out his Facebook, and like there's legitimate things.
Yeah.
You watched a video and
Yeah.
came to me and said, hey, like check out this tactic that Jerad was using to categorize certain friends on Facebook so that you can
Thanks.
prospect, basically using Facebook as a CRM. So there's just a lot of things
Yeah.
that you do, and I think I just wanted to touch on that because I mean, you definitely bring value as from a loan officer's perspective. My entire history of title rep was they would just drop by the office and drop off pens and notepads and say
Sure.
send your business this way, but you really do bring value.
Thanks. Yeah, another book. I'm a big I'm always down to improve, kind of reading books and how can I have self-improvement. And a book I read earlier on that was recommended to me was The Go-Giver. I don't know if you've read that one, but I mean it's the same concept as ninja selling. It's just give, right? And I just kind of early on always led from that on same thing that you said, Andrew, I resonate with is how can I add value? How can I help you? Right. Yeah, I'd love to have your business. That'd be amazing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to help you regardless. Right. And let me, if I can earn your business, cool. I'd love to earn your business, but I'm going to help you regardless and expect nothing in return. It's the same thing with the classes and events, right? Like if Andrew and Jen show up to one of my classes that I'm teaching or doing, right? there's a very minimal sales pitch. It's like, hey, I'm with Chicago Title, love to earn your business, right? But the goal is like, is if when Andrew and Jen leave, or when anyone leaves the class for the event, my main goal is that you got enough value, it was worth your time, so that when I do another one, you're like, yeah, I'll show up to that. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out. And that's always been the goal.
Yeah. So kind of along those lines, what do you think lenders and realtors can be doing better to generate more referrals through like social media, events? Do you have any advice kind of related to that idea?
I do.
I know it's a lot. I know you could literally talk about this for hours.
We'll go high level. We'll go high level.
Yes.
Yeah. So first of all, to anyone listening, if you hate social media and you don't want to do it, then don't do it. Right. Like, I think there's enough ways to prospect. And at the end of the day, you've got your goals and you've got your numbers, right? And you work your way up to that top of the funnel. And as long as you've got enough income producing activities that lead to those goals that you want, right, that's great. Now, with that said, right, if you are open to social media, doing it more, leaning into it more, right, I think there's a lot of advantages. Kind of what I said earlier, like back to the channels, right? Like, I'm big on marketing, love it, breathe it all the time. And at the end of the day, like, it comes down to sales. It's like, how many channels can I be on? So email, in person, events, phone call, text message, right? Social media platforms. There's a bajillion of them, but we'll just say Facebook, Instagram, which is where most real estate people spend their time. There's a lot of value in being on these platforms and leveraging to your advantage to stay top of mind. Or even if you don't feel comfortable posting anything, that's fine too. Even just being raving fans of your clients or prospects or whoever, like, people see that stuff and they read it, and like I said earlier, you're building this virtual relationship. So with that said, kind of high level stuff, if you can get over the fear or discomfort or create that time to make those videos, there's a lot of value in creating video content. I get it. It's not easy to do. It's uncomfortable to get started. But I'm a big believer in it. Going higher level than that, I'd say the number one thing that I've been teaching, coaching, helping both real estate agents as well as lender partners in this industry is I'm showing them how to run these highly targeted Facebook and Instagram ads to their clients, their sphere, their Instagram followers, their Facebook followers, their farm area, right? And that's something that I think is kind of unique that I'm bringing to the table, that I'm honestly, it's probably the number one thing I'm doing to help people right now. It's just creating that brand awareness that runs on autopilot in the background as a Facebook and Instagram advertisement, that just reminds people, right? Oh, there's Andrew and Jen. They just taught that class. Oh, there they are over there, right? And it's what's great about it is it's very low cost to do. I always say there's a lot of ways to spend/waste money in this business, right? We've all been there and just wasted money on things. And like, if you look at the metrics and numbers behind running these targeted ads to just your people, we run them at about $1 a day. And every dollar you spend, you're going to reach at least 100 people. So kind of think about that, right? Like, if Jen and Andrew have, I don't know, say a database of 3,000, 4,000 people, in theory, it's going to cost like 30, $40 to put whatever message you want in front of those people, whether it's a photo, a video, anything. Right. And unfortunately, we live in this fast paced environment where it's hard to stay top of mind. And the truth is in sales, we have to, right? I don't know what that stat is on someone using the same real estate agent again, but it's not good. Right. And when someone's ready to buy a home, they're ready. And who are they thinking of? So what's cool about what I've been doing is kind of summarizing this and finishing it up here is, it's all automated, it's all very inexpensive, and it's all just high level brand awareness. So that's one thing I've been doing a lot to help real estate folks lately.
I love it.
I want to shift a little bit, because I know that you have like a whole other part of your life, which I'm fascinated by, is you have like this travel hacking thing down. Like, I'm just fascinated by that. So it sounds like you did a lot of traveling with your wife years ago, but just talk to me about it. Whatever you find fascinating to share with us. I'm just really interested in how you guys are doing all of that.
So back in 2015, 2016, I read this book called How to Travel the World on $50 a Day. And this was when I was kind of always, I had that vision. My wife and I were like, we're going to go quit our jobs. And we're just going to go travel for a year. Love traveling, always have been. What I learned when I read this book was just this chapter in there, and it was on this topic called travel hacking, also called credit card churning. And it sounds super sketchy if you've never heard of it, but the concept is this: is if you have ever gotten something in the mail or seen a promotion online or in the airport, right? People, right? Credit card companies are trying to get you to open these credit cards. In exchange, usually there's a bonus. Hey, Jen, open up this card, right? Spend $3,000 in 3 months. We're going to give you, say, 60,000 miles, right? Well, there's this like whole like massive, I don't know, like online slash, I don't know, underground community of people that like churn through these credit card bonuses and just collect bonuses very, very quickly. So what this has kind of transpired to is I read this book. I then started researching it online and found like this whole community of people that have been doing this. And it's crazy to me that people still don't know what this is. So I actually do. I've been teaching a class on this for, I think just about 5 years. I'm actually teaching it tomorrow. Is I'm showing people the basics to basically travel hacking, where you open these credit cards, collect these bonuses, and use these points and miles to book your vacations for practically free. I haven't paid for a flight in over 6 years. Rental cars, those are all free. Hotels, if it makes sense, we'll book those with points. It's gotten to the point now where I've just been doing it for so long, where I've just got this diversified portfolio of points that I can use now to go on vacations. And I love it. It's honestly just a passion of mine, and I love sharing it with other people who are also passionate about travel, and just honestly kind of opening up their eyes to it, realizing that that trip that maybe they weren't going to take before because of whatever reason, now it's just a few points away. So yeah, has nothing to do with title insurance or anything, just a huge passion. Just another fun class. You guys are of course always welcome to come check it out.
Yeah, we got to get into that.
I know, we totally do.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy because after I teach the class, people are just like scratching their head. They're like, I can't believe this exists. I can't believe this is the real deal. First thing everyone's thinking is, doesn't this ruin your credit score? The answer is no, as long as you're doing it the right ways, which I explained in the class. But yeah, it's just something I'm passionate about, and it's cool to be teaching this over the years. And I'll get these text messages every once in a while, or phone calls from people that have started implementing these things. And they're like, I just got one last week. Hey, we were just in Cancun for a week at this 5-star resort, and it was completely free, and like, thank you. So I don't know. I think it's a lot of fun. So it's cool sharing that.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, we're gonna attend the class.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Good. Yes.
So on this podcast, we talk a lot about personal development, and of course that ties into professional development. And we're big on books. I know you mentioned Ninja Selling and then The Go Giver. Talking about podcasts and other personal development stuff. And so we're always interested in what sort of hacks you have in that realm. I know you've got 3 little kids, right?
Yeah. 3 under 3.
Guy. 3 under 3.
A little bit.
So, yeah,
my heart rate actually just increased when you said that.
so let's talk about, and with all the events that you do, and I know that you work a lot and you're driven, how do you find time to exercise and feed your brain and, have positive habits? Like, are you a big morning routine person?
Yeah. So honestly, I don't have it together right now.
3 under
I've
3.
got,
I'm not surprised.
Twin girls, they're 4 months. We just started doing sleep training 2 weeks ago. So, we're across the board again, woken up at midnight, 3 a.m., whatever. So at this current moment, I know it's just a blip in time, right? It's honestly just kind of a shit show. On like, did the girls sleep? Did I get 4 hours of sleep? Yeah, yeah. So when I can, when I do get right, I mean, oh my goodness, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I got like 6 hours of sleep today. It was amazing, and I did actually go to the gym. My motivation is the gym, right? It's interesting because like if you're not physically active for a while, it's hard to get back into it. So I never want to get to that point. So I do just, and I know we talked about this, Jen, was I just genuinely feel better, feel more alert and ready to go when I get that time where even if it's 30 minutes to an hour in the gym, or really honestly just being awake before the kids get up and kind of catching up on those emails and text messages and just being proactive and jumping into the day versus reactive, it makes all the difference for me. I don't know, do you guys agree or?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
yeah.
And there's been times where we're in that mode that you're in right now, where I think we could just call it survival mode. There's that survival mode, and then there's that growth mode, and growth mode's great, but it's hard to be in growth mode when your routine is all out of whack. And when you
Yes.
have little kids, sometimes it goes that way.
And
I would totally agree with that.
And kids don't give a shit about what routine you decided that you want to have for your morning. I mean, if this provides you any sort of comfort, I think
Yeah.
one thing like we've learned is that, it's going to change every few months, like
Right.
when the kids were really, really young and they started sleeping through the night, we were able to get up early and, have a morning routine. And now we're in this stage of life where our kids are at activities later and we can't go to bed at 8 p.m. anymore. And so we're having to like adjust. And so I think it's just this like continuous like conversation that we always have.
Right. And having those.
What time are you guys waking up right now?
5:15.
Yeah.
Nice.
And 5:15 but it's like, I mean, Jerad, when I tell you like our kids will get home from practice at like 7-ish, and then it's like shoving dinner in there. And you know how kids eat. Like it's like a whole process of eating. And it's us at nighttime just being like really, really strict with a nighttime routine and like getting them down for bed because we are unwilling to give up sleep. And so.
Yeah.
And then getting up before them, though,
you have to.
They get up at 6:15 now because they have to go to school at 7:30. But having that before, and then also just having a little workout space at home has been huge, just because that drive time, to and from the gym.
Efficient.
So, so just doing that. But I think, like you mentioned with the exercise thing, and not getting too far away from it. You mentioned 30 minutes to an hour. Like sometimes for me, it's just like I have 15 minutes and I'm going to go
stretch
on the stretch and get
good
on the
for
bike
you
and just do something, just to like keep your heart rate up and get moving. But yeah, I think those pillars.
It's funny what you say though. It's funny what you say though about like the bedtime. Like basically, I'm out the door at like, well, actually, again, it's all changing because now my son's in school. I'm at the door at 8:15 to drop him off at school, right? And our nanny is there from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So everything I want to do that's work related has to fit within that mold, right? With a few exceptions where I can do some evening activities here and there. Rare at this current time, but but I'm at 4:30, right? And the nanny's gone, and like it's just my wife and I right now we just call it like the marathon. Because from like 4:30 p.m. to like 9 p.m., right? It's just like, I'm like, all right, babe, let's go. Like, how quickly can we like play with the kids, give them food, give them their baths, and like put them to sleep and like get in bed and just go to sleep?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And honestly, we're still figuring it out. And as you guys said, like it's always changing, right? And it's interesting now having 3 kids versus 1, right? And before we did everything together, and now I'm with my son or with the girls or vice versa, and we just got to be a team and just go. So it's a moving target.
You have to divide and conquer for sure.
Yeah.
We always joke, and it's funny because we work together, so we see each other a lot during the day, but not enough to like actually have like long conversations about stuff. So our joke is always like, laying down in bed and being like, "Hey, how's your week going?"
Yeah.
Like what'd you do this week?
Yeah. We're running around,
Oh
man.
man.
Well,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
has being a dad changed your perspective on life?
It's motivating. It's motivating in
Mm.
so many ways, right? I mean, let's just be honest. One, financially, it's like, holy cow. I mean, I just
Yeah.
started paying for school, and then I'm like, oh wow, like kids cost a lot of money.
Mhm.
So in that way, it's motivating, right? Obviously, I love them, right? I love spending time with them. It was cool. I was at a wedding. Oh my goodness, my wife is incredible. I was gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and she was home with the three kids on her home. Now, fortunately, we had family that were helping out, but still, that's a big burden. But I came back, and it was just so cool, you guys, because I came back, and my son was just so excited to see me. Right, he lights up, and even the girls who were only like 4 months, like I came into the room and they like lit up and started smiling. So it's just like, I don't know, like, right. I'm early stages of being a parent, but there's like this component to you that I don't know, at least for me personally, where I don't know, it's like this emotional component that I didn't
Mhm.
have so much before for kids. Like, it's
Mm.
interesting. Like, before I
Yeah.
had kids, right? Like I say, I'm talking to you. I never really even knew like what questions to ask or how to connect. Like,
Yeah.
so what are their names? Boy,
Yeah.
girl, cool, right? Like, that's awesome, right? And now
Mhm.
it's like a whole new level.
Right.
Whether it's sleep training and just things. So it's just awesome, right? And
Mhm.
and really, guys, to the core, like my why, like, yeah, sure, I love my job and it's fun and it's great doing what I do, but like at the end of the day, like my goal is to reach financial independence, right? And I've got kind of my metrics and my numbers in mind on what I need to hit to have that, to have that FU money, is what some people call it, and do whatever the heck I want. But like my why,
Mhm.
like to the core, is like I want to be with my family. I love traveling. I love making videos for fun of us traveling, and like really that's it. It's just I want to be with my family, and just watch my kids grow up, and obviously give them the best life possible. Along the way, with also, teaching them the right things, and that's it. I'm excited. So I don't know. What about you guys?
I
Any
love that.
massive changes or any advice for
Well,
me as a young dad?
oh gosh. Well, it'll be different advice every year.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
goes by fast, and we
Mhm.
were just
Yeah.
saying that last night, and everyone always told us that,
Mhm.
like just savor those moments because one little phase is gone and you're into the next one, and once that phase goes away, it's gone, and so I think you're thinking about it the right way though.
Yeah.
Try and spend as much time as you can when they're young,
Mhm.
because I never wanted to look back and be like, oh man, I wish, I wish they were that age again, because now I look back and I know that I
Yeah.
was luckily there, and so it was cool. It's cool to look back and see it that way, and then appreciate the time that they're in now and try and really just live in that. But I like what you said about like kind of, I've heard this before from other dads, actually, right when I became a dad, another, and you probably heard it too, but there's like this compartment, like in your heart that you like didn't even know existed until you have kids. And then it's just like this other layer of, yeah, like love and emotion that they open up, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of my favorite things about kids, especially your age or their age right now, and especially your son, is they look at you and you are literally the most important human being in their world. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think that's just such a cool thing. The thing that you'll start getting into in a few years, which I feel like we're in right now, is where they become their own humans and then they start
Yeah.
seeing that the world is not necessarily what they have perceived it to be previously. And so they start asking lots of questions and trying to
Why?
understand these new, like,
Yeah.
like how does this fit into their reality? And but it's cool. Like it's all cool. And I think when you're there when they're really young, which I feel like we did a pretty good job of, is we created a really like strong foundation for our relationship. So like our kids,
Yeah.
trust what we say and listen to our opinions and,
That's
ask
great.
us for help. And so I think, I don't know, that's kind of what I would
That's good
say is
advice.
I love
something
that.
that's been helpful. What do you,
Hang
I
in
got a
there.
question.
yeah.
I got one more question for you guys. How do you balance, right? Like this job. I mean, for me on the title side, I feel like it's a bit easier because,
Mhm.
yeah, like if a client calls or has a text or whatever, an email, right, in the after hours of the evening or on the weekend, like if it's a phone call, it's usually a pretty quick conversation, honestly.
Mhm.
And I don't get a lot of them. And the truth is like for us as a title insurance company, like I don't know, pretty much all of them, like we're open from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the truth is like Monday through Friday. So that's one thing where I do love my role, where I'm able to have a bit more of that sacred
Mm.
time where
Yeah.
it's very much just my family on the weekend. But I do get those phone calls in the evening on the weekdays and stuff, or those text messages and stuff. And I would imagine, right, especially in the lending space, that's probably a lot more demanding and honestly probably
Yeah.
expected to a certain degree. So how do you guys deal that? Do you have like strict rules on when you'll take calls and stuff, or do you balance as a team, or what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wouldn't say strict rules on it. I think that we are very focused on having a system built around a successful pre-approval. So,
Yeah.
you get those calls sometimes on the weekend where it's a buyer that finds a house, but they haven't gone through any of the lending steps and they want to make an offer on that house. Typically in situations like that, it'll be a conversation explaining the power of a pre-approval and how you're purchasing this maybe $500,000 up to whatever, $1 million house or
Yep.
whatever it is. It's a huge investment and you want to understand the numbers. You're going to be putting down earnest money. There's a lot that goes into making sure that your loan is in order, and that takes time. So we've really like worked over the years on coaching our real estate agents and our buyers in setting that expectation of how this is supposed to look and the right way to do it versus the wrong way to do it. And most of the people that we work with understand that as well. But no, yeah,
Yeah.
and it's also just being really efficient, paying very close attention to time management and
Yeah.
calendars and systems so that we're fast at what we do.
Yeah,
I think that's a big one.
I think
And you
that
guys are, just for the record, shout out.
we
You're
are
very systematized.
psychopaths. Like
I mean, the
really, Jared.
checklists and
But that's
everything.
why.
I love it.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not kidding when I tell you, like, I have on my calendar, um, like clean my car this weekend, or
I
I
love it.
have, and it
I love it.
reoccurs every other week. I have,
I love that.
hey, like clean the kids' sheets. Hey, it's time to fill the hot tub up, because because this what happens is you have all this shit in your day
Yeah.
at work, and you have all this stuff in your personal life, and the mental bandwidth that I was feeling like I didn't have because there was all these pulls at you as a parent and
Yeah.
as in your career, it was exhausting. And so I think for us, like getting really tight on our systems, time management, like where can we kind of squish together places to free up some more time with our family, like that. We've spent a ton of time like really working on those structures.
I love that though.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
yeah. And are you strict? Like if, hey, this is the time to whatever, do this. Do, if you get it, maybe it's focus mode. Like, are you not gonna pick up that call and you're gonna stay focused in on that? Is that how strict you are with your time management as well, Jen?
So I think it's, I would say probably a little different for us, in the sense that Andrew and I have two different pieces of the business. So like I'm doing a lot
Sure.
of like the proactive stuff, more like development stuff. But I'm pretty, like, if I'm working on a project, like that's what I'm working on. And I think you have a great metaphor for this, the doctor. I don't know if you want to say, I just think this is a great way to talk about it.
Yeah, my mentor when I got in the business said, if you put something on your calendar, like you're going to review a file or you're going to do a contract rate lock, and you have that hour built out on your calendar, treat it like you were a surgeon. And if they had an hour built into their calendar to go do surgery on one of their patients, would they be interrupted by a phone call? Would someone walk in the door and steal their attention? So yeah, that's that
That's good.
metaphor that we use, where it's just
I
like,
love
yeah, when
that.
you're in a task, do it, and you become more efficient that way. But yeah, and also I've built a team that is very proactive with stuff so that I can be reactive and nimble, so that if I have to take a call on a weekend or in the evening, I can do that. But it's because I'm also out of all of the other file work too.
Yeah, I love it.
I just want to finish up with this, Jerad. What is like something you are most proud of?
Three kids, right? That's easy out, right? children. I mean, we got a long way to go, but I'm so excited. Um, it's crazy where life takes you. I'm from upstate New York. I used to compete in skiing. I used to do free ride skiing, which, have you ever seen, like the half pipe jumps, rails?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
which by the way, I'm 6'5", and
Oh
you
my
can't tell,
gosh.
but and you guys obviously know it's not a good tall person sport. I should like swam or did volleyball or something else. Of course, I chose to do this skiing thing and became passionate about it. But that led me to actually finding my way out to Colorado,
Wow.
going to school out here, and then meeting my wife out here. So it's just crazy to see where this life takes you, because now we're at the point where we live in Denver. My entire side of my family's moved out here. My wife's from the LA area. They're all out here.
How
And now
funny.
we've just kind of
Nice.
like got this like community of this
Uh-huh.
family. And like what's cool too is like we all for the most part like get along and respect each other's boundaries, right? Which is huge. But honestly, I'm really proud of just like having just, I don't know, like playing some roots here, right? And then having
Yeah.
my twin girls and my son, and just kind of having this life that I've just fallen in love with out here, and now getting to raise them out here. So I'm just really proud of all that and doing that, and being a father as a whole. So it's exciting.
I
That's
love
awesome.
that.
I love it too. You're not going to throw the question, the book
Oh,
question.
I have you mean a surprise question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Bit of a surprise.
surprise
We ask
question.
it every
Jared's
time.
panicking. It's not
It's
going
not
to do
that
that. No. Okay. So Jared,
Okay.
if you had to write a book on one topic, or I mean, whatever you wanted to write about, what would you
You
write
gotta write a
about?
book tomorrow.
You
What
got to
would you
write a book tomorrow to
should write the
share
book
with
about?
everybody.
I mean, I'll take the softball answer. It's going to be travel hacking.
Yeah.
It's that weird unknown topic
I
that
love it.
I
I
could just
love it. I'm
talk
so
about all day
intrigued by
long.
it. That's,
I'm passionate about.
well, I
Yeah,
think you should write
I
it.
mean, yes, I should, and you guys should come to my class.
I know. We really do
We
have
will.
to.
No,
'Cause
we will.
Good.
We'll get to maybe. Oh, yeah. Maybe the
Put
one.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll fit in your schedule, Jen.
Yeah. Yeah. Jen will take care of that. Well, man, we appreciate the time. Great conversation. You're doing a great job, and I think the market needs people like
Totally.
you, where you really are out just adding value. You're trying to help your
Yeah.
referral partners out, and you're giving them good advice. Where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, easiest spot is www.milehightitleguy.com, milehightitleguy.com. You can sign up. I send out 2 monthly emails, just sharing nothing but value, sharing and honestly just giving away tools, resources, marketing ideas that I've come across that have been very valuable, in my opinion, that I just share with all of my subscribers. Also, too, I'm hosting about, like I said, 5 to 7 classes and events every single month. You can sign up through there, or you can just Google my name, Jerad Larkin. Name is spelled funky, Jerad, like Jerad, and you'll find me. I'm the only, I guess, Jerad Larkin on Google right now, so I pop up.
Right on, man. Well, thank you again for being on. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Until next time.
See you later.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.